Listen to how in tune that is. Can you imagine? This is what happens when I stay up all night intonating a guitar. You can do impossible things with it if you get it perfect. Like, try that with a rental. Just saying. How you doing, friends? It's Uncle Larry. Just checking in real quick. Not gonna do a long episode today. You don't have to look at this face for very long. It's starting to turn this really cool brown mustard color, which is interesting. It's kind of like makes me want to have a hot dog. Pretty cool. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a reasonable day out there. It's what is it? Wednesday, I think. I've got my Trip the Witch mug, which is my second favorite coffee mug. You know what my first one is. I've talked about it many times. Yeah, these things that I'm playing today are illustrations of what you can do when a guitar is actually intonated. 90% of that shit I was just playing would sound terrible on a guitar that wasn't very carefully intonated. It's funny, like I was thinking about last night when I was playing this guitar all night and I was tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and I got it to the point where I consider it perfect. And like, I was thinking about the vibrations that an instrument puts off when it's not quite right. You can feel this sort of distress in the vibration. Like I was saying to Andy yesterday when I was at his shop, I think if I was deaf, you could hand me a guitar and I could feel vibrationally whether it was in tune coming through my body. It's really weird. I've just been doing this so long, and like that is so hard to get right on most guitars. where every squared off overtone is in harmony. Sit and look at a tuner and tweak the intonation all day long, but until you really get it to the point where you've sussed out all the voicings and made the compromise that works the most for all the voicings, like, you got to go deeper than you think you did. Like, you can set your harmonics at the 12th fret, right? Yeah, great, we all know how to do that, but then you got to start checking in between and playing all these voicings. Like we thought we set the intonation on his guitar yesterday at Andrew's shop. When I got home, it was way off. And I just started playing it and playing it and playing it. And then I'm finding all the sour chords. And I just kept tweaking it and tweaking it. And then you always find in the end that, look at how almost perfectly even the 3 and 3 is on that bridge. You see that? That's just what always ends up happening. If you don't have a wound G, you've got to get that, that stair step, 3 and 3. And you'll also find that on most Gibsons, old Gibsons, you can never get the G string saddle back far enough to not be sharp, which is the reason I took this guitar to the shop the other day, because I wanted Andrew to move these posts back. Because these guitars were never designed for a plain G string. They need to have a wound G string for this intonation to be correct. So you start messing with it just by having a plain G on it, and then you got to get that saddle back. See, I was saying to Andrew yesterday, they should ship all of these tunematics, like that Schaller and Godot or whatever, whoever makes them. They should send them out with the teeth of the saddle facing down, all of them, because you always end up having to swap them out anyway. Like, you always have to swap the G to make it go as far this way as you possibly can. That's a common thing, right? So before I even try to put one of these bridges on when I'm doing a replacement, I'll just go in and turn all the saddles that way, because I know I'm going to need them to be that way, right? So that's just my little intonation talk for today. Man, I'm getting way into the weeds. I want to tell you about this really cool project I did yesterday. Dan Auerbach said, come by the studio, I want you to do some overdubs with this really cool guitar band I'm working with. And I've heard of these cats before, but if you haven't heard this shit, you need to hear this shit. Hermanos Gutierrez. Gutierrez is their last name. Hermanos means brothers. It's these two cats, Esteban and Alejandro Gutierrez. I don't know how to say it right, because I'm not of Spanish descent. But man, these cats are fucking amazing. Two dudes, two brothers that just play guitar together, and they come up with these trippy, spacey, kind of clean grooves, and they both have incredible rhythm. And they write these interesting little instrumental tunes. They don't sing. One brother plays lap steel sometimes. And they're actually doing really well. I think this is like the third album that Dan Auerbach has produced on them. And I just came in and just add a couple little, atmospheres over the top of what they already had going. These cats don't need me. But it was really fun to meet these cats, and they're super, super cool dudes. And their music is just fantastic. I'm gonna post a link of just a random live performance, because you could watch anything of theirs and it's gonna be great. It's so interesting. I'm gonna go back next week and maybe do another song with them, I think. And we made a plan to do a little video, so you get to meet these guys, and I'll show you how they play. They have such a unique style, man. They play mostly with their fingers, and they'll do this shit like, I can't even do it. Like, thumb is always going, and he gets the most percussive, fattest tone out of it. I said, show me what you're playing there, man. We sat in the control room, and he shows me how to play it, and I must go, let me try that. And I picked the guitar up, and I couldn't even get it to sound anything like what he was doing. We were all laughing. I'm like, how are you doing that? And then the other brother picks up a guitar, and he starts playing something, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me try that. And it's just, I couldn't even get anywhere near the sound of what these cats are doing. It's like what they're playing is not real complicated, but it's just the way they're doing it is just fascinating, man. And then we started talking about, I started talking about my experience as a session player. That's my favorite thing about guitar, is how personal the instrument is with the flesh and bone of the player. Like, I've been on a million sessions in my life where, like, a guy will come in, like a songwriter, with some acoustic guitar riffs, and he'll say, man, I'm not really a guitar player. I really want one of you guys to do this, but here's the riff. And they'll play a riff that's very interesting and very unique, because they're not really professional guitar players. But they can't really execute it flawlessly to a click track, so they'll have somebody else play it. But when somebody else tries to play it, it never sounds as interesting as when the guy who wrote it plays it. And I have seen this happen a million times, and I'll always say to God, I'll say, like, dude, no, you play it, because it sounds cooler when you do it. Yes, I can go in there and play it perfectly on the click, but it's not going to have the same character and the same vibe as when you do it. And people always argue with me about that. They'll always say, oh, no, I'm not a really session guy. You do it, man, you do it. And I'm just like, it never works, And conversely, I could come up with a riff, make up something, and I'll say, man, can one of you guys go out there and play it? They're never going to play it the way I play it. So everybody's got their own sonic fingerprint, with the guitar. And, I was asking these cats, like, how did you learn all this stuff? Did you start on acoustic? And it turns out they both started on a gut string, but they play like clean electrics, like Gretsch's and old Silvertones and stuff, now with lots of delay and cool reverbs and stuff. But their songs are really cool and chill. It's like the stuff you'd put on at a really cool party. Just got a great vibe. Really cool stuff. I highly recommend you check these cats out. I'm sad that I didn't know more about them before yesterday. But yeah, really cool. My old buddy JD Simo's got a YouTube channel going now. Have y'all seen that? He has joined the YouTube club. That's how I always tell people, people will say, man, I'd like to start a YouTube channel. Like my friend Steve Marcantonio, my old buddy engineer, called me the other day and said, man, I want to start my own YouTube channel. I go, dude, do it. The YouTube is like the Wild West, man. There's room for everybody. There's no limit to how much content people will sit and watch. I mean, it's not like you can do too much. If you got something interesting to say, people will sit and watch it, and You know when they won't watch it is when it sucks. That's when they won't watch it. So if you don't suck and you got something halfway interesting to say, people will sit and watch it. That's what I told them. So look out for Steve Marcantonio's YouTube channel. He's an engineer. He's actually the guy that, if you remember back, he's my old Italian buddy. I always tell him he's like an old Italian woman. He's such a sentimental, soft guy. He cries at everything. He gets all worked up about everything. I love this guy. And great old friend. And he's worked on a lot of big records. And he's great. He's the guy that got me to start homeschooling. You see, on the first day of quarantine in March of 2020, when COVID first hit, they announced that basically quarantine started and everybody had to stay in their houses. And I remember Steve Marcantonio called me that day and he said, Tommy, what are we gonna do, man? And I was just like, oh, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't even have a home studio. I don't have anything to do. And at the end of the conversation, he said, you ought to play some guitar and put it on YouTube and cheer people up. And I was like, man, nah. I blew it off like I always blow off everything. And hours later, started thinking about what he said. And I went out and made that first video. So you have him to thank if you've ever gotten any enjoyment out of these silly videos. I upgraded the kitchen board with a lot of new pedals that I don't understand. It's kind of like I've become my mother with technology. My mother used to unplug the toaster when she left the house because she was so afraid that it was going to burn the house down. She was afraid of the VCR. The VCR was like a spaceship to my mother. Completely a Luddite on every level. Couldn't embrace any kind of technology. So old school. I always think about my mother when I see people with those refrigerators with the screens on them. They have these refrigerators that have screens on them like a giant cell phone. And the camera inside the fridge will take pictures of what's in your fridge and send to your phone app recipe ideas for what you have in the fridge. I mean, when I think about that, and I think about what my mother would think of that, rest her soul. I mean, but with these pedals and stuff, I don't know how to work any of this shit. So I'll just buy some crazy thing like an Eventide H90. And if I can get one good sound out of it, I'll keep it like that. That's what I do. So, and then like last night I was watching TV and I saw there is actually a channel called Dog TV that is made for dogs. This is not a joke. I haven't seen any footage of it, but I can imagine it's probably just a bunch of dogs. Can you imagine? Put that on when you leave for work so your spaniel can have a decent day, catch up on all his latest shows. I wonder if dogs have favorite shows. There's some weird note in there. You can hear when he does that. No, it's like something like that. I never learned it. Maybe I'll learn that. There's a classic Larry like. 23 minutes too long. All right, see you guys. Take care.